Hi, I'm just doing a really quick video before I head off to the job. I'm actually going to be commenting on someone else's video for the first time, which is something I came across today that I found very fascinating called The Elusive Sigma Male by a YouTuber by the name of Sarah Reynolds. I'm going to leave the link in the description down below so you can check that out. She seems to talk a lot about social dynamics, and I find that stuff pretty fascinating. As someone who identifies as a Sigma male, I also found it really interesting to take a look at what a female's thoughts were on this. Um, and she's pretty spot on for the most part. There's a few things that I think she makes a certain assumptions about, especially about Sigma males, and actually going to comment on a few of those. The first one I think most distinctly is that Sigma males resent or hate authority. I think it's more subtle and certainly more nuanced than that. I think that Sigma males, um, for the most part, want a reason behind authority, and so they actually want a more complex answer to do it because I said so. And that often, if there's a solid reason, they're willing to go along with authority very well. When there isn't, especially the one that almost no Sigma male will ever accept is do it because I'm in charge. So they make very poor soldiers in the military. That doesn't mean that they can't follow orders. It's they genuinely want to know the reasoning behind it. And when you can't, in the military, for example, you may not be able to actually get those answers from a person in charge because for military reasons they're keeping them a secret. So that does not work well with certain Sigma males. She is correct in that they are mostly the creative types in the world. She talks about some comedians being Sigma males, but truthfully, most Sigma males wind up being artists, and especially musicians, especially rock stars. Um, a lot of the musicians that you've come to know and love are often the rock stars of the world because they've kind of made their own music and they've sort of branched out and sort of become their own franchise. And many artists in society wind up becoming, start off as Sigma males, wind up becoming very successful because they've really found their own path in life with the type of art that they create. So Sigma males really are people that find their own way. And some very great examples would be someone like Steve Jobs, probably started off as a very Sigma male who did not fit into the normal corporate society. If you ever see the movie, it's going back a few years now, but The Pirates of Silicon Valley, which was also a very good book, I recommend checking out both. But in the movie, they really do paint Steve Jobs as this guy who just does not fit into the normal corporate way of life. So he created his own corporation and his own software company and his own hardware company and went on to basically become an alpha male. He became a Sigma that really changed the world and became the definition of what technology was for the better part of almost 3 decades. And had he not passed away at a young age, he was only in his 50s, he probably would still be doing that more so than Apple is even doing now. He probably would have had many more things to come. So the other thing that is interesting is that Sigmas, for the most part, love to learn. So they really like mentors. So mentors are much better to them than um, uh, authority figures or managers. There's a lot of talk about why is it managers have such a hard time with millennials. I think it's because they try too hard to be authoritative and managerial rather than being mentoring, rather than trying to help them learn and to do something. And I've even found that in my own work because I act very much like a manager in a lot of the positions that I'm in my job, that if I mentor somebody, they're very much more open to me being their authority and being the person that is able to uh, ask them to do things and to set them to tasks. And I see the managers that don't do that, that are the ones that are sitting behind a desk, not really helping them do anything, but are kind of just giving out the marching orders, are actually having a much harder time having any kind of authority and having respect in the workplace. Those people are almost never actually are respected by the people underneath them if they're never really engaging like that. So the mentorship and the difference between mentorship and authority is really big. And Sigmas are really, really into having solid mentors because they like to learn. Which is my next thing about being a Sigma is that they love learning and they will learn for the sake of learning. They will learn. They will read a book on ancient Babylon just because it's a cool topic for them to learn about. But at the same time, they will learn something if they need to as a skill to further themselves in whatever career path or what idea they want to learn. Now, why is that different? Well, most people don't like learning. Most people don't like school. You could argue that it's because of school that many people don't particularly like learning, and that maybe schooling sort of defeated it. But for most people, learning is work. They have to actually take a course and learn things and so forth. And for Sigmas, it's actually fun and enjoyable. So they really genuinely like learning. So you might have the alphas and the betas of the world. They will take a class or a course or something if they think it will help further their career. If they're kind of told to by authorities like teachers and so forth, they will be happy to learn a body of knowledge. However, it's much different for a Sigma. They will learn for the sake of learning. And they will also learn because they have very specific goals. If they wanted to create a company that was revolving around creating apps, they would learn how to code simply because they have that goal-oriented mindset that will always make them learn something new simply because it's a betterment of themselves. Now, those few things are a little bit different than what I think she said, especially about authority. And I think it's just a big confusion I wanted to clear up, is that Sigmas don't resent authority or they can't work in authority. They generally want to know the impetus behind it. And at the same time, they love mentors. They love to learn. And I think many more people are starting to fall into that. I think mentorship is the new manager. In fact, we may even, I would love it if someday a big corporation, maybe like you know, a, um, a major company like Google or something, instead of calling people managers, they call them mentors. And I think they're actually moving towards that. You're starting to see that more and more in the workplace, where mentorships are starting to become more and more efficient ways of working rather than management. So it'll be interesting to see if that becomes the model. After all, the Sigmas are the ones changing the world, and they're the ones who are actually looking for these mentors. And eventually, they do often become mentors. And we're seeing that as a more efficient way to control a workforce and the way things working. Now, at the same time, Sigmas don't mind passing on information. Now, I think alphas and betas can sometimes be very controlling of information. So they don't necessarily make good mentors, because if they teach you how to do it, you might be the person that then comes up behind them and is trying to take their place. That's a very alpha and beta way of thinking. So they wind up being like, I don't want to teach this guy how to do it, because what if he gets better at it and he takes my job? Well, Sigmas are much different because they kind of see the world in a much like larger hue. That the more people I teach, the more people are going to have the skill that I have, the more my own industry is going to flourish. So I think Sigmas start to do that. It's actually one of the things that we're hoping to do with the studio we're building, is to mentor others. We already had a mentor in special effects and makeup this last year. In the future, we'd like to mentor people on everything from stunt work to special effects to digital special effects to how to actually, write scripts and do all those things for movies, because no one's doing that. There is no movie mentor here in Boston. So we might actually be the first place to actually do that. So we don't mind passing on our information if we think that it's going to further our own industry. And so we have this mindset that people aren't going to come up behind us. And if they do come up behind us and they surpass us, the best thing is to have one of those students come back and say, this was my teacher, this was my mentor. And they can even move forward in the career and help you, because they might remember, hey, this is the guy that brought me to the dance. So they're going to help you out in the future. So Sigmas have a different mindset, and it's not adversarial, and it's not protecting a specific hierarchy. So in that sense, they are not so much resentful of authoritarians as they are looking at it in a much more different prism. So finally, the last thing that she said was that Sigmas should date Sigmas. And she talks about this a bit in her Sigma female, because she considers herself a Sigma female. Gosh, is that spot on. I think I've never been able to really have a successful dating relationship with anyone who wasn't. I've almost always tried to find other creative types, people who are, for the most part, similar to myself. So I've dated other people in my own scenes and in the places that I've worked and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what is more compatible. I need someone who's going to at least share in some of the major passions of my life, So it's like those types of things are really important to Sigmas. And it's only like Sigmas that really get other Sigmas. So if you are a creative type, an artist type, a lone wolf, the type of person who's going to be an entrepreneur, start your own business, do things differently, it's really difficult to find someone who to share your life if they don't also have those qualities as well. So I think she was pretty spot on it, and hopefully she's gonna possibly check this out, and hopefully you'll check her out because she's got some really interesting videos to say. And that's it for today, and hopefully we'll see you again. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe even if you like Sarah Reynolds stuff, hit the like and subscribe for her and check her videos out. And if you can, support me on Patreon. Thank you very much.